I was 24 years old when my cousin Derek stood in the doorway of my studio apartment and said, "God, Emma, this place is pathetic. I spend more on my dog's grooming than you probably pay in rent." His wife Vanessa laughed behind him, her Chanel bag worth more than 3 months of my salary. They had just arrived in the city for some charity gala, and my aunt insisted they stop by to see how little Emma is doing. I should have known it was a setup. My apartment was 380 square feet, one room, a kitchenette that barely fit a mini fridge, a bathroom so small I had to step over the toilet to reach the shower. But it was mine. Every single inch of it I earned. "Derek, come on," I said quietly, trying to keep my voice steady. "You want some coffee? In what, that?" He pointed at my French press like it was a disease. "We'll pass. Vanessa, babe, take a picture. My followers won't believe people actually live like this." She was already filming. Her phone was pointed directly at my bed, which was also my couch, which was also my dining table. I felt my face burn hot with shame. "You know what's sad?" Derek continued, walking around like he was touring a zoo. "We're the same age. But look at the difference. I have a 6-bedroom mansion in Westchester. You have this. Some of us don't have trust funds, Derek." The words came out sharper than I intended. He smirked. "Trust fund? Please. I worked for everything I have. Maybe if you had actual ambition instead of working at that sad little nonprofit, you'd have something real too. My nonprofit. The one helping homeless youth find housing. The one I believed in more than anything." I wanted to scream, to cry, to shove them both out. But I just stood there, frozen, while Vanessa posted the video with crying, laughing emojis. What I didn't know then was that in exactly 3 weeks, Derek would be standing in a courtroom, watching everything he worked for disappear. And I would be the only family member willing to answer his call. The video went viral in our family group chat within hours. "Poor Emma," my aunt typed, with that fake sympathy that made my skin crawl. "Maybe Derek's tough love will motivate her to do better." My mom called me crying. "Why didn't you tell me it was that small, honey? I would have helped." "Mom, I'm fine. I don't need help. I need family who doesn't humiliate me for sport." But the damage was done. Thanksgiving was 3 weeks away, and it was being hosted at Derek's mansion. His palace, his monument to success. And everyone expected me to show up and smile. I almost didn't go. I sat in my car outside his iron gates for 15 minutes, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. The driveway was longer than my entire street. There were actual stone lions flanking the entrance. When I finally walked in, the place looked like a magazine spread. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, a staircase that curved like something from a movie. Vanessa greeted guests in a dress that cost more than my car. "Oh, Emma," she said loud enough for everyone to hear. "You made it. We weren't sure you'd have gas money for the trip." Laughter rippled through the room. Cousins I'd grown up with. Aunts and uncles who used to call me sweet. Now they looked at me like I was the entertainment. Derek appeared with a champagne flute, grinning. "Everyone, Emma's here. Should we give her the tour? Show her what real success looks like?" "I'm good," I muttered. No, I insist." He grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the grand living room. "See this art? Original. This rug? Hand-woven in Turkey. That view?" He gestured toward floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking acres of landscaped gardens. "That's what happens when you make something of yourself." I felt like I was drowning. Everyone was watching, judging, comparing. Then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Is this Emma Chen? We need to talk about your cousin Derek. It's urgent." I looked up. Derek was still talking, still performing. He had no idea his perfect world was about to shatter. I slipped away to the bathroom to read the message properly. My hands were trembling as I typed back, "Who is this?" The response came immediately. "Marcus Webb, federal investigator. Don't react. Don't tell anyone. Meet me outside in 5 minutes. East Garden, by the fountain." My heart hammered in my chest. Federal investigator? What the hell was happening? I splashed cold water on my face and went back downstairs. Derek was holding court in the dining room now, showing off his wine collection to a captivated audience. "This Chateau Margaux? 12,000 a bottle. I bought 6. He swirled the wine like a king. You have to understand, when you operate at my level, you develop certain tastes, certain standards. My uncle clapped him on the back. That's my nephew. Always knew you'd be something special. Vanessa draped herself on his arm. Baby, tell them about the Malibu beach house we just closed on. Oh, that? Derek grinned. Just a little vacation spot. Only $8 million. Pocket change, really. I felt sick. Not just from the bragging, but from the text burning a hole in my phone. Something was very wrong. Derek's companies are doing incredible things, Vanessa continued, addressing the room like she was giving a TED Talk. 3 startups, all valued over $50 million each. He's a genius, a visionary. Some people are just born winners, Derek announced, looking directly at me. And some people, well, they try their best, I guess. More laughter. I wanted to disappear. I mumbled something about needing air and slipped out through the French doors. The garden was massive, lit with string lights that probably cost more than my monthly salary. I found the fountain, and a man in a dark suit was already waiting. Emma Chen? He asked quietly. Yes, what's this about? He pulled out a badge, FBI. My stomach dropped. Your cousin Derek isn't who he says he is. And tomorrow morning, everything he owns, including this house, will be seized. I'm here because we need your help. My help? I whispered, glancing back at the house. Through the windows, I could see Derek still performing, still basking in admiration. What could I possibly help you with? Marcus handed me a tablet. On the screen were financial documents, transfer records, shell companies with names I didn't recognize. Your cousin has been running a massive investment fraud scheme for 3 years. He's stolen over $70 million from investors. The startups? Fake. The success story? Built on lies and other people's money. I felt the ground shift beneath me. That's impossible. His house, his cars, everything. All purchased with stolen funds. We've been building the case for 8 months. Tomorrow morning, we execute the seizure warrants. He looked at me carefully. But there's a problem. He's been using family members' names on some accounts, including yours. My blood went cold. What? You're not in trouble, he said quickly. We know you had no knowledge or involvement. But we need you to testify about your relationship with him, about whether he ever asked you to sign anything, receive any packages, anything unusual. I thought back. Had he? I couldn't remember. My mind was spinning. I need to go back inside, I said, my voice shaking. This is insane. Emma, wait! But I was already walking back to the house. I had to see him. Had to understand if this was real. When I stepped back into the dining room, Derek was in the middle of another story. So I told the CEO, look, either you meet my terms or I walk. And guess what? He met my terms. That's how you negotiate when you're holding all the cards. Everyone was hanging on his every word. Vanessa was glowing with pride. My aunt spotted me. Emma, there you are! Derek was just telling us about his meeting with the mayor next week. Maybe he can put in a good word for you, help you find a real job. The table erupted in laughter. Even my own mother smiled uncomfortably. Yeah, Emma, Derek said, his eyes gleaming with cruelty. I'd be happy to help. I mean, someone has to save you from that shoebox you call home. I couldn't breathe. Everyone was staring at me, waiting for my reaction, waiting to see me break. I excused myself and locked myself in one of Derek's 6 bathrooms. This one was bigger than my entire apartment. Marble countertops, heated floors, a chandelier over the bathtub. I sat on the edge of the tub and tried to breathe. Everything was crashing down around me. The humiliation, the lies, the fact that my own name might be tangled up in whatever Derek had done. My phone buzzed. The family group chat was exploding. Derek is so inspiring. We're lucky to have him in the family. Emma should really take notes from her cousin. Maybe intern at one of his companies? Some people have it, some people don't. That's just life. I turned my phone face down. I couldn't look anymore. There was a soft knock on the door. Emma, you okay in there? It was my mom. I opened the door. She looked worried, her eyes searching my face. Honey, I know Derek can be a lot, but he means well. He's just trying to push you to be better. Mom, he humiliated me. In front of everyone, again, she sighed. I know it feels that way. But look at what he's accomplished. Maybe there's something to learn from him. Maybe if you'd made different choices. Different choices? The words exploded out of me. I help kids find homes, Mom. I make a difference. I'm sorry that's not impressive enough for this family. That's not what I meant. Yes, it is. That's exactly what you meant. I pushed past her, tears burning my eyes. I'm leaving. Emma, wait! You can't leave before dinner. What will everyone think? I don't care anymore. I grabbed my coat and headed for the door. But before I could reach it, Derek intercepted me in the foyer, Vanessa right behind him. Leaving so soon? He asked, that smirk still plastered on his face. What's wrong? Can't handle being around real success? Let me go, Derek. No, seriously. He stepped closer, his voice dropping low enough that only I could hear. You're jealous. You've always been jealous, and honestly, it's pathetic. You're 24 and you have nothing, while I have everything. Vanessa laughed. Don't be so hard on her, babe. Not everyone can be a winner. I looked at him. Really looked at him. And for the first time, I saw it. The desperation behind the arrogance, the fear. Enjoy tonight, Derek, I said quietly. Enjoy it while it lasts. His smile faltered for just a second. What's that supposed to mean? I didn't answer. I just walked out into the cold November night, knowing that tomorrow his entire world would collapse. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my tiny apartment, staring at the walls, replaying Marcus's words over and over. $70 million. Fraud. Seizure. My name on accounts. At 6:47 a.m., my phone exploded with notifications. The family group chat was in chaos. Is anyone watching the news? Oh my God! Someone called Derek. I turned on my TV, and there it was. Live footage of FBI agents swarming Derek's mansion. Black SUVs, men in windbreakers carrying boxes. News helicopters circling overhead. The headline scrolled across the bottom. Tech entrepreneur Derek Chen arrested in $70 million fraud scheme. My hands started shaking. It was real. All of it was real. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Emma, it's Marcus Webb. I need you to come to the Federal Building downtown. Now. We need your statement. 3 hours later, I was sitting in a sterile conference room, answering questions I never imagined I'd be asked. No, I never signed anything for Derek. No, I never received packages. No, I had no idea. You're clear, Marcus finally said. He used your name without your knowledge, opened an account, forged your signature on documents. You're a victim here, not a suspect. I felt a wave of relief so strong I almost cried. What happens now? He's being arraigned this afternoon. Everything he owns is being seized. The house, the cars, the bank accounts, all of it purchased with stolen money. Marcus paused. He's going to prison for a long time, Emma. I should have felt satisfaction. Victory. But I just felt empty. When I left the Federal Building, there was a man waiting by my car. Late 50s, expensive suit, tired eyes. Emma Chen? He asked. Who are you? Robert Harrison. I'm one of the investors Derek defrauded. His voice cracked. He stole my entire retirement. Everything I spent 30 years building. $3 million. Gone. My stomach turned. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I know you didn't. He wiped his eyes. I've been following the case. I know you're not involved, but I need you to understand something. Your cousin didn't just steal money. He destroyed lives. My wife and I, we were going to retire next year. Travel, finally relax. Now I'm 70 years old and I have to keep working until I die. I felt tears sliding down my face. Mr. Harrison, I don't know what to say. Tell the truth, he said simply. When this goes to trial, tell everyone who Derek really is. Don't let him play the victim. Don't let him get away with this. I won't, I promised. I swear I won't. The arraignment was scheduled for 2 p.m. I wasn't planning to go, but something pulled me there. Maybe I needed to see it with my own eyes. To know it was really happening. The courthouse was packed with reporters, cameras, and angry investors holding signs. Derek Chen is a thief. Justice for fraud victims. Security was tight. I slipped in through a side entrance and sat in the back of the courtroom. And then they brought him in. Derek looked small, broken. His expensive suit was wrinkled, his hair messy, his eyes red and swollen. He scanned the room desperately, looking for friendly faces. When he saw me, something like hope flashed across his face. I looked away. The judge read the charges. Wire fraud, securities fraud, money laundering. The list went on and on. Derek's lawyer, some tired-looking public defender, asked for bail. Your Honor, my client has deep ties to the community. He's not a flight risk. Deep ties to the community? The prosecutor stood up furious. Your Honor, the defendant defrauded 73 investors out of over $70 million. He has accounts in the Cayman Islands and was booking a flight to Costa Rica when we arrested him. Derek's face went pale. Vanessa, sitting in the front row, started crying loudly. This is insane, she sobbed. My husband is innocent. This is a witch hunt. The judge looked at her coldly. Ma'am, one more outburst and you'll be removed from my courtroom. Then something unexpected happened. Mr. Harrison, the elderly investor I'd met earlier, stood up. Your Honor, may I address the court? The judge nodded. Briefly. Mr. Harrison walked to the front, his hands shaking. He turned to face Derek directly. You looked me in the eye 3 years ago, he said, his voice breaking. You shook my hand. You showed me pictures of your family. You told me your company was going to change the world. You told me I was making the smartest investment of my life. Derek wouldn't meet his eyes. I trusted you. My wife trusted you. We gave you everything we had. And you stole it. You bought mansions and cars and jewelry while we worried about how we'd pay for groceries. Mr. Harrison, I'm sorry, Derek started. Don't you dare, Mr. Harrison cut him off. Don't you dare apologize to me. You're not sorry. You're sorry you got caught. The courtroom was dead silent. Vanessa jumped up. How dare you? He made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. A mistake? Another voice rang out. A woman in her 40s stood up, tears streaming. He stole my children's college fund. The judge banged his gavel. Order. I watched Derek crumble in his chair. For the first time in his life, he had nowhere to hide. The judge denied bail. Derek would stay in custody until trial. As they led him away in handcuffs, he looked back one more time, his eyes finding mine in the crowd. He mouthed something. Help me. I turned away. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Investors were giving interviews, their faces twisted with anger and grief. I tried to slip past unnoticed, but Vanessa spotted me. Emma! She ran toward me, her designer heels clicking on the pavement. Her makeup was smeared, her hair wild. Emma, please, you have to help us. I can't help you, Vanessa. Yes, you can. She grabbed my arm desperately. Talk to them. Tell them Derek is a good person. Tell them this is all a misunderstanding. I pulled my arm free. It's not a misunderstanding. He stole $70 million. He made investments. That's what businessmen do. Sometimes they don't work out. Her voice was getting higher, more hysterical. You're family. You're supposed to stand by family. Family? I laughed bitterly. Where was family when Derek humiliated me? When he filmed my apartment and mocked me online? When he told me I was pathetic? He was just joking. He meant every word. Marcus Webb appeared beside me. Mrs. Chen, you need to step back. Who the hell are you? Vanessa spat. FBI. And I need to inform you that we'll be seizing your personal assets as well. The jewelry, the cars registered in your name, the beach house, all purchased with stolen funds. Her face went white. No, that's mine. I didn't do anything. You benefited from the fraud. Knowingly or not, you spent stolen money. Marcus handed her a document. Everything goes back to the victims. Vanessa stared at the paper, her hands shaking. Then she turned to me, her eyes full of venom. This is your fault, she hissed. You're jealous. You've always been jealous. You couldn't stand seeing Derek succeed, so you destroyed him. I had nothing to do with this, I said calmly. Derek destroyed himself. Liar! She lunged at me, but Marcus stepped between us. Mrs. Chen, walk away, now. She stumbled backward, sobbing. A reporter approached her with a microphone, and she started wailing about how her life was ruined, how she was a victim too. Marcus turned to me. "You okay?" "Yeah, I think so." "There's something else." He pulled out another file. "We found a payment. $50,000 made to your nonprofit 6 months ago. Anonymous donation, but it came from one of Derek's shell companies." My stomach dropped. "What?" "He was using your nonprofit to launder money, Emma, making it look like legitimate charitable giving. Using your work to cover up his crimes." I felt the world tilt. My nonprofit. The kids I helped. The one thing I was proud of. And Derek had poisoned it. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Every day, the courtroom filled with investors, reporters, and families whose lives Derek had destroyed. Every day, the evidence piled higher. Bank records, forged documents, email chains where Derek bragged about stupid rich people who believed his lies, voice recordings of him coaching Vanessa on what to say to investors. I testified on day 12. The prosecutor asked me about Thanksgiving, about the humiliation, about Derek's character. "He told you that you had nothing," the prosecutor said. "What did he mean by that?" I looked at Derek. He was staring at the table, refusing to meet my eyes. "He meant that because I don't have money or a mansion, my life has no value, that helping homeless kids isn't real work, that I'm a failure." My voice cracked. He said I was pathetic. And 3 days later, he was arrested for stealing $70 million. Yes. The jury watched Derek with disgust. One woman was crying. On day 18, Mr. Harrison testified again. He brought his wife, who used a walker. She was 72 and recently diagnosed with cancer. They couldn't afford her treatment anymore. "We trusted him," Mrs. Harrison said, her voice barely a whisper. "We gave him our savings, our security, our future, and he spent it on wine and cars, while we wonder if I'll die because we can't pay for chemotherapy." The courtroom went completely silent. Even Derek's lawyer looked shaken. Vanessa had filed for divorce. She claimed she knew nothing, that she was a victim too. But the videos she'd posted, the stories about their lifestyle, they painted a different picture. On day 21, the verdict came in. Guilty, on all counts. Derek's face crumbled. He started sobbing, his whole body shaking. Sentencing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. When that day came, the courtroom was packed. Derek stood before the judge, a man who had finally run out of lies. "Mr. Chen," the judge began, her voice cold, "you have shown a level of greed and callousness that is truly shocking. You stole from retirees, from families, from people who trusted you." "Your Honor, please," Derek started. "I'm not finished," she leaned forward. "You lived in obscene luxury while your victims suffered. You mocked family for being less wealthy when your wealth was built entirely on theft." I felt tears streaming down my face. "I hereby sentence you to 22 years in federal prison. No parole. You will pay full restitution to all victims, though that will likely take the rest of your life." Derek collapsed. Guards moved forward to take him away. As they led him past my row, he stopped and looked at me. "I'm sorry, Emma," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. 6 months later, I was still living in my 380-square-foot apartment, still working at my nonprofit, still helping homeless kids find housing. But everything felt different now. The restitution process was moving slowly. Mr. Harrison and his wife got enough back to cover her first round of chemotherapy. Other victims were starting to see small amounts returned. It would take years, maybe decades, to make everyone whole again. But it was something. The family group chat had gone quiet. My aunt never apologized for the tough love comment. Most of my cousins pretended nothing had happened. My mom called sometimes, trying to rebuild what we'd lost, and I was letting her. Slowly. Vanessa had moved back to her parents' house in Connecticut. Her Instagram, once filled with designer bags and champagne, was now private. I heard she was working at a boutique, selling the kind of clothes she used to buy without looking at price tags. Derek's mansion sold at auction. A tech CEO bought it for half of what Derek paid. The Malibu beach house went to a retired couple who had no idea about its history. Everything was liquidated, every trace of Derek's fake empire erased. I visited him once, just once. He wanted to see me, sent letters through his lawyer begging me to come. The prison was gray and cold. He looked smaller than ever in his orange jumpsuit, his hair greasy, dark circles under his eyes. "Emma," he said when they brought him into the visitation room. His voice broke. "Thank you for coming. I didn't think you would." "I almost didn't." We sat in silence for a moment. He looked at his hands. "I destroyed everything," he finally said. "Everything I built, everyone I hurt. And for what? To feel superior? To have things I didn't need?" "Yes," I said simply. "That's exactly why." He flinched. "I know you hate me. I deserve that. But I need you to know something. That day at Thanksgiving, when I mocked your apartment, your life, I was jealous." I laughed bitterly. "Jealous of me?" "Yes." Tears were rolling down his face now. "You had something real. You helped people. You made a difference. You slept at night knowing you'd done good in the world. And I had nothing but lies and stolen money and fake friends who disappeared the second I was arrested." I felt something loosen in my chest. Not forgiveness, but understanding, maybe. "You could have had that too, Derek. You chose differently." "I know." He wiped his eyes. "I have 22 years to think about that choice. 22 years in here while you're out there, actually living, actually mattering." I stood up. "Our time was almost done. I hope you find some kind of peace," I said. And I meant it. As I walked out of that prison, into the afternoon sunlight, I thought about my tiny apartment waiting for me. My lumpy bed that doubled as a couch. My mini fridge and my French press. I thought about the kids I'd helped this month. 3 teenagers who now had safe places to sleep. A 17-year-old girl who just got accepted to community college. I thought about Derek in his cell, surrounded by concrete and regret. And I realized something that made me smile. That made me breathe deeper. That made everything clear. I had never been the one living small. He had.